Hi, I'm Ken Pond from MediaGate XYZ, and I'm here to give you a tip trick about how to keep your layers in Photoshop non-destructive. Let me just be clear about what non-destructive means specifically. I'll read it here. Non-destructive editing, sometimes called NDE for short, is a method of editing in Photoshop that allows you to make changes to an image without overwriting the original image data. Now, that's an accurate description of what non-destructive editing is, but it's not precise. And non-destructive editing isn't just limited to Photoshop. It's limited to video editing and a lot of other applications out there that deal with media. So let me show you what I mean. Here we have a actual from a recent project we did, which was the cosplay team up with Lauracina. This is one of the shots that we didn't get to process. So let's say you have any Photoshop document open or anything you've created just from scratch in Photoshop. This is, for example, a flattened image, so it's just got a background layer, but I always like to keep the background layer as the kind of backup in case something happens. So I'm going to hit Control or Command J and make a new layer. Now, let's say with something from this layer, we want to duplicate it and mess with it and just kind of create something. Just for this example, we'll take this light, do Control and Command J, and I'll make a new layer with just the thing you selected. And what we'll do is move it over here. And maybe we'll rotate it. For whatever reason, this is just an example. Now, let's say under normal circumstances, you decide you want to make this a little smaller. Now, what happens when you do that is, and you hit enter on the transformation, you'll get your little light, but here's the thing. If you change your mind, bring it back up, look what happens. You might not be able to see it so clearly, but let's look at this original light, and let's look over here at the one we just made small and then resized. Considerable detail loss. It looks very lossy. So let's throw that one away and let's make a brand new one with our lasso tool. Just hitting L, and let's Control J to just make a new layer off that selection. And maybe some of you are asking, so what? I can just hit Control Z to go back if I change my mind, but you don't want to always have to deal with that. Also, if your document changes in other ways that you don't want it to change, then you're kind of stuck. So this is what we do. We make sure we have the layer selected with the thing that we don't want to destructively edit and play with. We right click on that layer and we convert it to a smart object. So what a smart object does is, in a way, it vectors it. We can't make it any bigger because obviously we can't put information there that doesn't exist. But what we can do is we can make it smaller, very small, and then we could grab it and edit it at a later date and pull it back up if we change our mind, and there is no quality loss as long as we bring it back up to 100%, nothing over that. So you can make them very, very tiny and they will retain the information. Also, another quick tip is, of course, when you want to erase some of the image, just clicking on the mask tool to create a mask to go with your layer. And instead of using the erase, painting in black on your mask erases the image. I'm not doing a great job here. I just want to give you an example. And painting with white reveals the image. So instead of erasing an image, hitting Control Z, especially when it's not a smart object, you're going to drive yourself crazy because, like I said, you can't hit Control Z way in the future once you've done a lot of work on your document. I should be really clear at this point. In my own special way, I'm trying to explain how masks work. But basically the principle is, once you apply a mask to a layer, black will erase the layer using the brush tool. The color white will reveal the image when you paint white on the mask attached to the layer. Gray, for example, would be 50% opacity. But for just this example, let's focus on erasing an image and, well, revealing part of the image once you've erased it. So, always convert the images that you import or copy from another layer as a smart object. Use a mask instead of using the eraser tool. If you, by the way, want to see the mask, you hold down Alt or Option on a Mac, and you can erase all the things you erased by making this completely white. You can also fill selections. Like, for instance, if we know we want the bright parts of this bulb, for instance, to be transparent or not there, we hold down Alt, we click the actual mask attached to the layer, and we can fill this with black. And then we go back to our image and our bulb is transparent. And then once you do that, you can play with a lot of the different features that come along with the mask. Once we click the layer and we have the properties panel open to see what our options are here, when you feather that mask, you basically are softening the edges of that selection non-destructively. You can go back and set it the way it was. I don't know, that looks kind of cool. Like the light is a little dimmer than it was normally, but you can have a lot of fun with this. So just keep it in mind, these are non-destructive ways of putting your layers together properly in Photoshop. So I'm Ken Pond with MediaGate.xyz. I hope you enjoyed that tip and trick. Have a good night.